Hello friends and fellow gamers, MKxJUMP here, and today we're going to check out this week's event for Idle Heroes. It's quite interesting. We've got a gala event thrown in and a new event coming up next week, which will be the main talking point about today's video. But of course, we are going to, talk about this week's event, not just next week's event, so make sure you stay tuned for the whole thing. Before we jump in though, let me tell you about Patreon. It's a way you can support this channel financially and get yourself rewards in return through our Discord, which you can find a link for down below in the description. By supporting me, you can get access to things like account reviews, which we do on Tuesdays via Twitch, so if that's something you're interested in, hit the link up there for a way to back me on Patreon. Anyway, shout out for this week, we have Glenn Andre Sveen, we have Callum Hughes, and we have El Bozo. So if you guys want to get yourselves an account review, join us on a Tuesday, and I'd love to see your accounts. Anyway, let's go check out this week's event for Idle Heroes. So, with this week, we have Imp's Adventure and Campaign Loot Drop. Imp's Adventure gets us 4 dice every single day, and with Campaign Loot Drop, we get 100 Fortune Orbs, a magical crystal ball, and you can inject your magic power into it, and a glimpse of your fate shall be revealed. Obviously, ask for permission before you start injecting your magical power into anything. That's generally good advice for all men in chat. But either way, let's go and see what we have for this week. We have value packages, which are giving us a bunch of gems and dice. And as well, you can buy that for starry gems. So if you need more dice for this week, that's one way you can get it. But typically, these are best avoided because we have instead the Luck Relay. And this is probably, if you are going to buy anything this week, the thing to go for. It gives you gems and dice. Also, treasure coupons. Now, we talked about this last Imp's Adventure. This used to give us contract starry gems and starry gems, which was really cool, but they've now replaced that with treasure coupons. Some people see this as a good thing, others see this as a bad thing, and I'm kind of on the fence about it, but typically getting treasure coupons isn't exactly a terrible thing, and it's $50 to get this whole thing. It also includes 10 cores, and you're getting 28 dice as well. And it gives you triple rewards in the Summer Privilege, which we'll check out in a sec, and double rewards in Imp's Adventure. So that's 17 train tickets, 10 cores, a bunch of gems, 28 dice, and all these extra bonus rewards. It's not that bad for $50. Imp's Adventure, you go ahead and move your imp around by rolling dice, and if you go ahead and get a different amount of stars for passing over the mushroom huts, you're going to get certain rewards. It's all the usual stuff here, although we do have a laner in this light and dark chest, and in the 5-star chest, I wonder, have they added Geester yet? Ah, they sure have. So that's quite nice. Also, guys, we get these Fortune Orbs as well, which can go ahead and be used to get your rewards in the Astrological Tales. As well, if you get those double rewards from the Luck Relay, that gets you double the orbs. So that 50 becomes 100 for each level you reach. Now, typically, players will go ahead and have several options here with their orbs. The average player will probably get around 2,400 orbs just from campaign, plus whatever you get in Imp's Adventure. Early players often go for these chests, as these can be used to get you key copies of heroes, either for your first E5, or maybe you're getting some light and darks to help you build like a carry, or maybe a Drake or something like that. So it's typically good to get that. Some people like to go for scrolls to help them save up for scrolls for future events. Maybe you want profit orbs for next week, as next week's event is a profit orb event. But if you have universal crystals, it is never, ever a terrible idea to bump yourself up to get yourself some star spawn cores, as these are really hard to get if you're a budget or free-to-play player. Some people think about getting flags and artifacts. I don't think that's worth it because star spawn cores are much more difficult to obtain and require less universal crystals, so you actually get more from your crystals in the long run. Therefore, star spawn cores, if you have the crystals for it, are always the best play. I typically recommend Starspawn Core 5s as they are rarer than Starspawn Core 6s, but it's up to you and what you need. Shelter Mission is here this week as well, where you can use 4-star heroes and a 5-star from the same faction to get you a copy of a particular hero, some armor, and also 5 dice. And these dice will help you in Imp's Adventure. Make sure you do this for the non-light and dark factions because the 20 dice are super great. For Holmes Young, you'll need 4-star mages, so that's Sierra and Time Mage. For Onkiramaru, you'll need warriors. There's a bunch of them. There's like, what's this guy? Nightmare Knight. We've got Bone General. I think there's other ones as well in the Shadow faction. That should be pretty easy. There's priests for the Forest faction, and that's going to get you Vesa. So we've got Thale, we got Entelder, and I think there's some others as well. And then finally, we have Natasha. And unfortunately, Akasha is the only 4-star that can be used here. So good luck getting copies of her. She can be quite a pain because she's always needed, because it's usually rangers or assassins for Abyss, and Akasha is always the hero for that. As well, our light and dark box require you to have 2 5-stars from each of their factions and also 2,000 gems. This is typically not worth it, as this will waste gems. Also, you should be totally saving gems this week. So if you're a free-to-play player or a budget player, you might want to skip spending gems in Imp's Adventure entirely, because you can use 4,500 gems to get your 30 dice here, but maybe that's not worth it because you want gems for next week. So stay tuned for when we talk about next week's event. Either way, the Summer Melody this week is getting you rewards for using your ordinary dice and for cashing in that event currency in the Astrological Tales. Therefore, once this event's over, we still have a day to cash in our stuff, and also then a day to claim our rewards from the Summer Melody. If you get 100 points in this, you can get yourself all of the rewards you see here, including Stellar Shards and Masters Toolboxes, 2 very useful resources. And if you get to 200 points, you're going to get yourself the similar thing, but they changed the chest to actually include last year's Transcendence Heroes. Now, what's also cool about this is you can do this multiple times, so you can get for every 100 that first chest, every 200 this chest, and every 300 this last one, which actually contains the 5 most recent heroes to come out, which are Vulcan, Elena, Elamak, Geista, and Natalie. So that's actually quite a good thing to go ahead and grab. And actually, if you guys do buy that luck relay, you could easily see yourselves hitting 12,000 points in this, which is a ton of rewards. That's going to get you over 250,000 Stellar Shards. It's going to get you loads of chests, which will help you in galas. And of course, you're going to be getting those Masters Toolboxes and Spiritual Essence as well. So that stuff is really good if you do choose to spend that $50. And that's just coming from the luck relay, where you're just going to get those double points, you're going to get those dice organically, and you're, of course, from Imp's Adventure, going to get the rewards that will help you to go ahead and max out Imp's Adventure. And typically, the luck relay should allow you to get all the way to 300 and get yourself a 9-star chest, as well as the 800 fortune orbs, because this 400 becomes doubled. So yeah, really good for food, really good for progress, and probably a really safe way to spend $50 on your account. But I mean, spending $50 is quite a lot of money, so it really depends on whether that kind of behavior is good for you. Don't forget, though, you can stop halfway through, so maybe you don't want to go all the way. You could easily just stop and forget that last bit, or maybe you only want to get the first thing, which is $5 and gets you these free additional treasure coupons. So that's potentially something worth considering. You don't have to buy the whole thing. Finally, we have a Soul Contract and a Soul Awakening Gala. Now, this might surprise people. The last Soul Awakening Gala we had was 300 points. Now, this one's only going to 150, so the best we're getting here is just a lemon chest. Now, some people might be annoyed about this because we have seen awesome galas in the past where going to 300 points is getting you the lemon chest, it's getting you a normal melon chest, so you're getting a ton of sublimation, and it gets you a bee stone, and it's also going to walk you away with an artifact or a flag. Now, that's awesome. Now, you could spend 150 this time around, but I don't think that's a good idea if you're a budget or free-to-play player. I think you should save your contract starry gems and just keep them for an event that goes up to 300, because you're going to get more sublimation, you're going to get that bee stone, and that, in my opinion, is worth it. The only argument to go to 150 and stop is if you always want to do that just to get multiple artifacts. But for a lot of people, the sublimation is more important than artifacts, but I think it's your call to make, and I think the bee stone really does make the difference. If you're a free-to-play player, bee stones are super valuable because it's hard to upgrade your heroes like Jara or like Aspen or whatever hero you're using as a Transcendence hero all the way up to a level that is satisfying for making progress in Void Campaign. And that is where B tiers are really valuable, because they unlock you the higher level abilities and they get you 2 bonus stats instead of 1. So you could have a Vulcan with holy damage and skill damage. You could have a Jara that's walking around with control immunity offset and control precision. It just requires you to get a B awaken on them in the first place. And they're really hard stats to get, and you can't even get some of those on things like C's and below. Especially in the case of Jara, you cannot get control immunity offset or control precision unless it's a B tier. So getting the B stone is really valuable. So in my opinion, if I was a free-to-play player or a budget player, would not use my contract story gems on this gala at all, and I would just wait for a 300-point gala where I can get, in my opinion, much better rewards. So save those gems, and in fact, just go into this soul contract, get a 6-star dark and a 6-star light, and get yourself 300 extra contract story gems. Now, I realize those factions are quite high demand and difficult to get food in, so maybe some of you don't have 6 stars for these, but if you do, you can throw in a 6-star from each of those factions and exchange them for 150 contract story gems each. Dark is probably the harder one for you guys to do because that's the more in-demand faction. You've got heroes like Carrie, Amon-Ra, Drake, Mockman, Aspen, like loads of heroes that you will want to build, especially for early accounts. But if you're not in that situation and you do have some spare dark and light food, this is definitely something to be doing, especially for free-to-play players, because contract story gems allow you to do those galas, which we were just speaking about. And having more contract story gems makes it more reliable, and there's nothing worse than almost getting to 300 points and failing. So basically, skip this gala out, wait for another one that's 300 points, and just get your contract story gems in preparation for that. So yeah, this week's pretty simple. It's just a normal Imps adventure. We've got a normal campaign loot drop. We've got a nice gala on here that I think most people are going to skip, but if you're a spender, of course you might want to go ahead and do this just for the extra sublimation and the artifact. We do get a random treasure coupon in here as well, so that might be nice, especially when you combine that with the luck relay stuff. That is 18 treasure coupons you can get this week, and for some people, that might be a cool thing. Next week, on the other hand, is Fantasy Factory, Prophet Orbs, Heroic Miracle, and the Lunatic Asylum Nightmare. Now, Prophet Orbs is giving Arania as the top reward. Not that great. We've got ourselves Elena as the top reward for Heroic Miracle. This is pretty good, but the big thing is the Lunatic Asylum Nightmare. I'm expecting that this is going to be just like Mecha Raid, which is an opportunity for you to use 40,000 gems to get a lot of Celestial Island resources, a bunch of Starspawn items, all the hard stuff that we really struggle to pick up to improve the power of our accounts. And more importantly, if you do go and spend 40,000 gems, you're probably going to walk out of this with a sublimation chest without even using any Prophet Orbs. If you then throw Prophet Orbs in on this as well, you might get 2 sublimation chests, there might be an artifact thrown in, then there might even be Cores of Origin. I'm expecting this Lunatic Asylum Nightmare event to be really, really good. So if you're a free-to-play player and you do not have a lot of gems, know that 40,000 is probably the number you're going to need for next week's event. You have 2 weeks to save that up. That's the whole of this week and the whole of next week, because you can just do it all at the end of next week. So if you're wondering, should I be buying cores from the marketplace? Should I be spending my gems on Imps Adventure? Well, ask yourself, is there a world where you can get to 40,000 gems between now and next week? Don't forget, Star Expedition is going to give you gems. If your monthly events reset, that's going to give you gems too. If you're a monthly card user, that's tons of gems you're going to pick up in the next 14 days. This is your opportunity to get something huge, and I'm expecting the Lunatic Asylum Nightmare to be a great event. So from now until then, if you don't already have 40,000 gems, would recommend that you save gems, because next week I'm expecting is going to be fantastic. And if you want information about next week's event, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, get that algorithm rolling, and you will no doubt see that video in your recommended feed so you don't make any mistakes when the Lunatic Asylum drops. So make sure you subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, and if you want to support this channel, don't forget to back me on Patreon. Either way, see you next week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good week, and happy idling.